I watched as my wife's secret lover walked confidently into my home, completely unaware of the trap I had set for him just outside the door. "Listen to this," Mark said, leaning back in his chair, his tone calm yet intense. "You know how everyone used to think Liam and Elena were the perfect couple? I mean, the guy had everything. Charisma, a successful career managing luxury hotels in Milan, and his beautiful wife who worked at a high-end art gallery. People would look at them and think that's what true love looks like. Heck, I thought so too at first, but man, things aren't always what they appear to be." Mark paused for a moment, letting the silence settle before continuing. "Liam told me that at first, everything was magical. They'd have weekends in Tuscany, private dinners, and the way he spoke about Elena, she wasn't just beautiful. She had this energy, this aura. You could feel it when she walked into a room. It was like everyone else disappeared and all eyes were on her. But then, without warning, something changed. He couldn't explain it at first. It started with small things, like how she was always on her phone during dinner, or how work seemed to consume her entire life. You know that feeling when something's off? Liam felt it, but he brushed it aside. He thought it was just stress or maybe her job. Big mistake. Mark leaned in, lowering his voice. It all started with something as silly as a coat pocket. Can you believe that? One rainy evening, Liam was cleaning up after dinner when Elena came home late again. She said she had some gallery event, looked exhausted, kissed him on the cheek, and went straight upstairs. Just another ordinary night, right? But then Liam picked up her coat to hang it up, and there it was, a crumpled piece of paper in the pocket. Mark smirked darkly. Now, Liam wasn't the type to snoop, but his curiosity got the better of him. He unfolded the paper, thinking it might be a receipt for coffee or something, but no. It was a receipt from this posh boutique hotel downtown, dated 3 nights ago. And get this, that was the same night Elena told him she was working late. His mind started racing. Who was she with? Why a hotel? He stood there for what felt like hours, staring at it. Every possible scenario ran through his head. But he didn't confront her, not yet. Liam's a smart guy. He knew he needed more than just one crumpled receipt to figure out what was really going on. Mark's expression grew darker. Here's where it gets worse. Liam decided to play detective. A few days later, after Elena left for work, he went through her laptop. He told me his hands were shaking the entire time. Deep down, he already knew what he was going to find. At first, it was just boring gallery stuff. Emails about art appraisals, exhibitions, that kind of thing. But then he found a thread with a guy named Victor. At first, it seemed innocent. They were talking about an upcoming exhibit. Liam relaxed a little, but the more he scrolled, the more personal the messages got. Mark paused for dramatic effect. One email from Victor said, "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." And do you know what Elena wrote back? "Me too. Can't wait until Friday." Liam said it felt like the ground disappeared beneath him. Everything he thought he knew about Elena, about their life together, was a lie. But even then, he didn't explode. No yelling, no accusations. Instead, he closed the laptop, sat in silence for a moment, and decided it was time to dig even deeper. "I wasn't the only one in this situation," Mark continued. "I had been living in my own bubble until one stormy evening, when everything changed. You know how sometimes things hit you when you least expect it? That's exactly what happened. Maya had just come home from work, her hair damp from the rain, but she seemed distant, like her mind was somewhere else. I didn't think much of it at first. I was just cleaning up after dinner when I grabbed Maya's coat off the chair. My hand brushed against something in her pocket. It was just a crumpled receipt, or so I thought, but it was from one of the fanciest hotels in Amsterdam, dated 3 nights ago. And get this, it was the same night Maya told me she was working late at the gallery. My heart sank, so fast it felt like it was going to fall out of my chest. Mark leaned in, his voice dropping lower. But instead of confronting her right then, he kept his cool. He slipped the receipt into his pocket and pretended like nothing happened. That night, as Maya slept soundly beside him, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. His mind was racing. He told me later that was the moment I realized everything was a lie. In the following days, I started noticing the little things. Her phone was glued to her hand, her answers to his questions about her day were vague, and there were all those sudden gallery events that kept popping up. He couldn't ignore it anymore. The woman he loved, the woman he thought he knew, was hiding something, and I was determined to find out what it was. And that's when things took an even darker turn. I didn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. No, I turned into a detective. One morning, after Maya left for work, I opened her laptop. He told me his hands were trembling so badly he thought he might drop it. At first, all he found were dull, work-related emails about paintings and upcoming exhibits. But then he came across an email exchange between Maya and a man named Kabir. It started out looking professional, with them discussing an art show, but as he scrolled down, the tone shifted. Kabir had written, "Last night was unforgettable. I can't wait to see you again." And Maya had replied, "Me too. Same time Friday." Mark's voice lowered as he shared the details, like he was letting me in on a dark secret. "Can you imagine reading that?" he asked. He told me it felt like the ground was ripped from under him. But despite everything, he remained calm. Instead of confronting her right away, he started piecing things together. He hired a private investigator to dig into Kabir's life. It turns out Kabir wasn't just a single guy living a carefree life. He was married, had 2 kids, and worked as a top corporate lawyer in Amsterdam. He told me how furious he felt, not just with Kabir, but with Maya too. She wasn't just cheating. She was lying to him every day. He said to me, "I wasn't going to confront her with only half the truth. I needed all the facts before I made my move." It wasn't just about catching the act. He spent weeks gathering evidence, staying calm and ensuring he had every piece of dirt on both Rhea and John. His plan wasn't just to catch them. It was to make them feel the depth of the betrayal he had experienced. One weekend, I told Rhea he had a work trip to Madrid. She didn't even blink, almost as if she were relieved that he was leaving. I played it cool, kissed her goodbye, and walked out the door. But instead of heading to the airport, he parked a few blocks away and waited. By evening, John arrived, pulling into my driveway like he owned the place. Slick car, flowers in hand, the whole show. I said that watching John swagger into his house with that smug look made his blood boil. He waited for an hour, making sure they felt at ease. Then he walked in. The way he described it, he entered the living room so quietly that Rhea and John didn't notice at first. They were laughing, sipping wine, acting as if it were their house. When they finally saw him standing there, their faces were priceless. Rhea went as white as a sheet, and John looked like he wanted to crawl under the couch. I didn't shout, didn't throw anything. He simply dropped a folder on the coffee table. Photos, emails, hotel receipts, everything. All he said was, "Explain this." Rhea tried to play the victim. Can you believe it? She started crying, claiming it wasn't what it seemed, that she had made a mistake. But I wasn't having it. He told her, "You didn't just cheat on me. You disrespected me in my own home." John, on the other hand, couldn't get out of there fast enough. He mumbled some excuse about needing to leave, but I blocked the door. "Not so fast," he said. "You're just as guilty as she is." John tried to talk his way out of it, but I wasn't listening. Eventually, John bolted like a coward, tail between his legs. As for Rhea, she kept begging, saying she still loved me, that she made a mistake because she felt lonely. I said her words were poison, empty and manipulative. You didn't feel lonely when you were sneaking around with John. Don't act like this was some accident. Rhea broke down, but I had already made up his mind. There was no going back. The very next day, I didn't waste time. He met with his lawyer and filed for divorce, laying out all the evidence against Rhea. She had no case. She lost her claim to the house, most of their savings, and even their social circle turned on her when the truth came out. As for John, I wasn't done with him either. He made sure John's wife found out everything, sent her a package filled with the proof. Within weeks, John's marriage fell apart, and word spread at his law firm. His reputation was ruined. He told me it wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. But here's the thing. I didn't let the bitterness consume him. He told me that finding Ria's old letters, one she had written but never sent, was a turning point. In those letters, she confessed her insecurities, her guilt, and her regret. She said she had never stopped loving him. For a moment, I felt a pang of sadness, as if he was mourning the life they could have had. But then he realized that no amount of regret could undo what she had done. So he closed that chapter for good. Now, I have moved to a new place in Florence, starting fresh. He told me something that really stuck with me. Betrayal doesn't just break you. It lets you let go of illusions and find strength in the truth. Yeah, it's heavy, but I think he's right. He's stronger now, wiser, and